Hey guys, welcome back to the lab. Not particularly happy today. Had some setbacks. A setback really, not setbacks, just one thing that's just burnt time and I still haven't resolved it. Actually, setbacks was, it's kind of sort of true, but not really. That's the fitting that was on top of the transfer box. It's just a 1/8 NPT with a barb, 90-degree barb. Filled the gearbox, transfer box and diffs with the good stuff, appropriate oil, and ran it up just to check everything, and found that the transfer box decided it was going to start pumping the oil out. Now this is something that it has been doing for a little while, and I've always run. It's actually an empty bottle of Blue V in the front here with a breather tube into it. So what I've done, I've taken this off, which was a headache in itself. As you can see, that's broken. That's broken because there's a lug very close to where this fitting is. That's why the fitting's actually been chopped down a little bit shorter than what they normally are. And this must have been bumped. It's bent down a little bit. And as I've gone to undo it, it's come around. If you can imagine that screws where the lug is, it's come around. And I couldn't undo it because it needed to be just a little bit higher so it would clear the lug. So I got in there with a pry bar and gave it a little tweak to try and get it to clear the lug, and as you can see, it broke off. And the top of the transfer box is not the best place to get to without taking things to pieces. It's in there, and as you guys know, there's a lot of stuff in there. But I managed to get a screwdriver tip that fitted in there, just the tip. I'll show you just in case people are confused. One of these types of things, whatever it was, one of those, managed to jam one of those in there with my fingers. There's all sorts of marks all over my arms from doing that earlier on today. Unscrew that. That's cool. No big deal. It's just one of those things that happens. So then I've taken that out and I've put an AN6 male fitting in there. Let's hope there's one of those that's somewhere handy. Again, a poorly organised video. It's kind of like that with a thread on the other end of it. There'll be dozens of them in here. This is what we had in there originally, except a smaller version of that. And crap falling on the floor. It looks kind of like that, except it's AN6 size and it's got a 1/8 NPT on that end. So I've screwed that in. And the reason for that is going to a larger size breather will stop it being able to pump as much fluid out. And people will say no, because it's a bigger hole, so you'll pump out more fluid. Yes, but if you've got a mouthful of water, something you've drunk and you don't want it in there, and you've got a straw, you'll be able to blow that entire mouthful of water through that straw and empty your mouth pretty easily. If I gave you a 2-inch diameter tube and said do the same thing, you won't be able to do it. The fluid will stay in the tube, and when you stop blowing, it will fall back into your mouth. And that is what I'm up to with the breathers. So the breather tubes have made it as far as here. As you can see, that's quite a large hole. It will be difficult for the oil to stay in contact with the entire diameter of the tube and work its way all the way through to the breather. The oil will collect on the outside of the tube and run back down, tend to stay where we want it to be, which is in the gearbox. That's the long one that's there, and in the transfer box. And we also actually need one for the diff on the front, but that can be a small one, that's okay. I didn't quite get around to making the other do-flicky to go here. I'm not sure if I will do that or not. Wifey thinks it's a good idea, but I'm not sure about that. The reason I didn't quite get to there is once I had the fluids in the car, transfer box, diffs and gearbox topped up, I ran it up just to check everything was good and working properly. Found that transfer box thing. No speed signal on the dash. It's the same wiring on the same pins and everything. That has not actually been touched. It hasn't been shortened or anything like that. It's the exact same stuff. So I figured it must be one of the sensors. I run these sensors. They're one of the ones that's used on the motor on the rear diff to get our speed signal, and these are notorious for going bad. So as you can see, there's 3 of them there, and there's actually a 4th one fitted in the car. None of those made any difference. It still does not work. So I shifted the terminals for the input into the ECU, took it off digital input 3, which is what it was running on before, which should be fine. You're allowed to use anything from 1 through to 6 for the wheel speeds. Shifted it to 5, still doesn't work. Shifted it to 6, still does not work. So we've got 5 volts going to the sensor, we've got good ground, we've got good contact from the wires all the way into the ECU, and we can't get a speed signal for some reason. So it's almost as if the digital input system has died on the ECU, but that makes no sense because the ethanol sensor runs through that system and that is working fine. So a little bit of head scratching, and talk to tech support at Link, who'll probably say, Glenn, you just need to do something, and then it'll be fixed. It's most likely something I have unwittingly done and tripped myself up somehow. It could be something in the software setting up the gear position indicator, or I don't know. But that seemed to work all right, and that's actually an analog input, not digital. So, slightly grumpy, a little bit annoyed that I've spent a lot of time on that and haven't got to the end of it. But otherwise, the car is running good. It's going through the gears nicely, and it's actually sounds a lot quieter than what it was with the old Navara gearbox. So that's a bonus. Never mind. All right, that's all I've got today. There's nothing to see. There's a couple of hoses on top of boxes, a couple of fittings. There's nothing to see. Bunch of time burnt, no progress really. Not much anyway. Hey, we're going level 2 tomorrow night apparently, so if I can get this last little gremlin out of the way, and our shift cut knob should be here soonish or whenever, and then we can get on, we can get the thing tuned. Yay, that'll be fun. Alright, thanks for watching. Cheers, bye.